Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation, with an urgent warning. What just happened in the news is the most important reason why we must stack silver. Let's explore! Now, this news broke earlier today, and it is quite troubling, and it also exposes kind of the hypocrisy of not only the media, but the banking institutions in this country, and it gives us a foretaste of what is coming with regards to the Great Reset and the social scoring and reputation of people based off of this new reset, which is going to be the reorganization of our financial system, the currencies and the resets of the dollar, and how that will weigh in and be tied to your social score, essentially. Very troubling indeed. And now a lot of this is being questioned as far as its truthfulness, but given the state of kind of where we are at in the world, this is believable, and this very well could have happened. And I believe it probably did, even though the headlines may have gotten it wrong as to who it's targeted. And I'm talking about what Chase Bank has done to either General Michael Flynn or a relative of Michael Flynn's, citing reputational risks. This comes to us from thehillreporter.com. Major bank cuts ties with Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn's very public fall from grace was swift and stunning. One minute he was a decorated Army Lieutenant General and National Security Advisor to the President of the United States. And that president, by the way, was Barack Obama. The next, he was an admitted felon for lying to the FBI and recipient of a presidential pardon before transitioning to be an adherent to the false discredited conspiracy theories from QAnon. Now it appears that he is persona non grata in the banking world. On Sunday, Flynn posted on his Telegram account that financial giant Chase has informed him that it is severing its banking ties with him because continuing the relationship creates a possible reputational risk to our company. Well, I don't know about you, but I would say that Chase Bank's reputation's should be spoiled already, because they have had to pay an almost $1 billion fine for precious metals manipulation. Nonetheless, the article continues here that he has posted this here, a partially redacted letter dated August 20th, informing him of the bank's action, which is effective on the 18th of September. So he says here, this is from General Flynn, Chase Bank has gone full-blown woke. They need to deal with their own reputation instead of persecuting my family and I. So this does not mean necessarily that they have targeted him in this letter, because some say that you can see through the redaction in the letter doesn't show any characters that make up his name. DOJ dropped my case for their own egregious government misconduct. Appears you weren't lucky with that, Department of Justice. So the Department of Justice did, in fact, successfully file a lawsuit against Chase Bank for precious metals and treasury fraud manipulation, and they were charged and had to pay a huge fine. But yet their reputation is on the line. The Department of Justice dropped the case. General Flynn was completely exonerated of that case, but he's apparently now blaming Chase Bank for his America First political views that don't align with them and their laws. So he's going to have to find another place. And I didn't see a full image of this. It's a little blurry on my screen here. We're looking at some silver here. I'm going to get into why you should stack silver in a moment. But this is the beginning of the persecution of those who don't fall in line with any particular company's agenda, which is becoming more and more progressively woke. And so here we can see, as reported from Regina Hicks, Chase Bank cancels its credit card accounts with General Flynn, citing possible reputational risk to their company, in case there was any doubt that is happening in this country. And let's see if I can see a larger image of this thing. And yeah, it's just I can't quite see here, but it's kind of hard to tell there. The letters don't look there, but the letter says, after careful consideration, we decided to close your credit cards on September the 18th, 2021, because continuing the relationship creates possible reputational risk to our company. You may receive additional account closing notifications if you have other accounts under a different name or address. That's what we can see. The letter was dated August 20th, 2021, and that is direct from Chase Bank. And it does have the last name, but the other character doesn't look unless it's a brother or some other family member. But nonetheless, it is troubling to see that they are making that decision, but should it surprise us? Now, this particular article was very biased because it is accusing Flynn of lying. And Harsh Pedona, a social scientist at the company in Giant Oak, whose technology helps fight financial fraud, said a situation like Flynn's, where a decision to sever a banking relationship appears to have been based solely on negative news, do happen, but they are rare. Credit card issuers do definitely monitor the names of their customer base for what in the card business is called negative news. Mike Abrunius, North American leader of the financial services practice at consulting firm Pretoviti, told creditcards.com, think about it like a Google search on steroids, where services like LexisNexis, for example, that maintain databases that aggregate public records and public news stories. He estimated that fewer than 5% of negative news matches trigger further scrutiny by a card issuer, and even fewer accounts actually merit closure based on that scrutiny. That's pretty scary when they can just say, well, based off your reputation on negative news, well, that could mean a whole lot of people for whatever reason that they deem necessary. It's crazy. I mean, good grief. Look at how many people constitute negative news in the press and still have credit cards. I mean, it is rare, but, we'll see here. But Michael Flynn, you don't really hear about him in the news very much these days. And, of course, this article likes to remind he pleaded guilty in 2017 to lying to the FBI, but he was entrapped. And it was one of those things where literally you could catch anybody with lying if you come in and you pose the questions in such a way without memory and the like, and they did entrap him. That has been proven. And so that's the problem with some of the press, is they like to twist things to meet their own agenda. But nonetheless, this article doesn't talk about him being completely exonerated. And by the way, who exonerated him? Sidney Powell. And which seemed to be thought of almost impossible task given the press and given the court systems and everybody against him. But nonetheless, so now the banking institutions are going after him, and Chase Bank, of all banks, J.P. Morgan Chase, who is the largest holder of SLV and the physical silver behind SLV, who has been proven to have people at their precious metals trading desk being persecuted and fined to the tune of almost $1 billion for precious metals manipulation, what I refer to as micro manipulation, and that is much different, by the way, than price suppression, just so you understand. But that news, folks, is why we need to have our money outside of the financial institutions. And not only is it wise to hold these notes outside of the financial institutions, banks, which, by the way, I'm not against having some money in the bank, but deal with local banks as much as possible, because you never know. Some of these bigger banks, if they don't like your political views and they see something you post on Twitter or Facebook, they can just cancel you, like they have either Michael Flynn or a member of his family. Hold these outside of the banking system, at least some of them outside of the banking system. That's number one. Number two, get yourself some hard assets like silver and gold, but especially silver. You must stack silver to protect yourselves against what happened today, that many think, well, that's not going to happen to me. But if it can happen to Michael Flynn, somebody who is relatively high profile, although has not been talked about at all in the news, has not been making any headlines in the press as of late, it could happen to you too. For whatever reason, local press or what have you, or just because that's where we're going. We live in an increasingly woke culture, and there's plenty of people, and myself included, I've already been persecuted on this very platform by the platform itself. And so you never know when it could happen or how it could happen. And so therefore, and banking institutions can target individuals, private individuals. It's good to protect yourself. And what better way, I feel, especially if you're on a limited budget, is to put some of your money into silver. And the best forms to carry silver are indeed silver rounds and coins, like this American Silver Eagle. These are highly recognizable, although as of the recording of this video, the premiums are still fairly steep on these, so you want to watch out for that. And maybe it's good to stack bars in the event, or some other silver rounds to offset some of this premiums, which are starting to come down now. But one of the better ways, especially if you're on a very limited budget, is to stack constitutional silver or spending silver, if it's silver coins from your nation that they've used for transactions before the 70s, depending on which country you live in. I'm in the United States, so it makes sense to stack this constitutional silver, mercury dimes, any coins, dimes, quarters, and half dollars that were minted before 1965, or that may have been minted in 1965 that may have the date 1964 on them. That did actually happen here in the United States, but that's a subject for a different video. So that is why it is important, and why we must stack silver, I believe, to protect against the banking institutions, because yes, this is alarming. This is an urgent call. And even though it's this one case, you think about it, if he's had several accounts with Chase and they have a lot of power, they're all gone. He can no longer use Chase. He's got to find another bank. And it's getting very difficult because a lot of these banks are being bought out by other banks. So a very concerning situation. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.